So there's a Senate race that's going to be happening in Arizona, which is very important because you know what we really need? Not only do we need a Republican president in 2024, we need a Republican House and Senate so we can get some great things done and, dare I say, make America great again or greater again. And we've got somebody who's on the front lines, certainly, of the Senate race in Arizona because she is throwing her hat into the ring. Kari Lake, former Arizona gubernatorial candidate, is with us now. Kari, tell us how it's going. Tell us how this is going to go.
Well, you're right. I jumped into the back into the ring, Buck, and Clay. Thanks for having me on today. We're losing our country. I don't think that's coming as a surprise to anybody listening to your show. We've got a border that's wide open. We saw what happened in Israel, it's absolutely barbaric and horrific, and that could happen here because people are pouring across our border, and Joe Biden has done nothing except allow that to happen. And I'm looking at the political landscape. And I don't really want to be in the gross world of politics, trust me, but I don't think there's any choice right now. We have a Senate seat coming up, and we have a leftist who's sitting in that seat right now. Now she's trying to play chameleon and say she's independent, but she's voted to keep that border wide open. She's voted to deny funds to secure the border. She's voted against the border wall. She's voted for amnesty for all these millions of people coming in. These people are unserious. They're not serious. Joe Biden is a threat to the country and the world. And Kirsten Sinema and Ruben Gallego, the other two people running for Senate, are only going to make Biden and his disastrous policies continue on. And we can't do that, guys. We're going to lose our country. I'm fighting for my children's future and, frankly, the future of all the kids out there. We're losing our country. And I think we've got one more year to pull this back from the brink. And we've got to get some America First folks into office who are going to go to D.C. and actually start putting this country first, Americans' needs first, and help strengthen the family. The most powerful institution we have in our country is the family, and it's crumbling right now under pressure from all the disastrous policies of Joe Biden, from the wide open border to his Bidenflation, to frankly some of the garbage that they're pushing on our kids when we send them off to school, the trans ideology, trying to tell our perfect children that they can change their gender. It's utter craziness, and we need somebody to stand in the gap and pull things back.
Kari, we got news now that 22 Americans have been killed in Israel. If this had happened in the United States, it would be the fifth deadliest terror attack, I believe, that's ever happened on our soil. We've got a war in Europe. We've now got a war in the Middle East. Donald Trump has endorsed you. Do you think we'd have a war in Europe and a war in the Middle East if Trump were in the White House instead of Joe Biden?
Absolutely not. 100%. No way would we have this. President Trump was the strongest president I've ever seen when it comes to our footing on the world stage. First of all, President Trump would not have freed up $6 billion for Iran to fund these Hamas barbaric terrorists. He would have never done that. He would have pulled Putin and Zelensky into a room and said, we're going to sort this thing out right now. Putin would have never gone into Ukraine, and he certainly would not have sent $170 billion to Ukraine. And you know, what's happening even in our energy sector is making us less weak on a world stage as well, where all of a sudden we have to be dependent on other nations for our energy. We are in shambles when it comes to our footing on the world stage. We used to be a superpower. Sure doesn't feel like we are right now. And you cannot deny that Joe Biden and Barack Obama's policies with Iran have contributed to this. We absolutely would not be in this situation with President Trump in the White House. And that's frankly why we have to get him back.
We have President Trump's official endorsement of you in the race, Kari, which I want to let everybody listening across the country here. Play it, guys.
Hello, Arizona. I love Arizona. It's great to be with you tonight and with your next United States Senator, Kari Lake. I wish I could be there with everyone, but I'm busy on the campaign trail and fighting off all of the bad people. And we're running for president. We're doing really well. We're leading every poll by a lot, in fact, record numbers. And when I'm back in the White House, I need strong fighters like Kari in the Senate. She is a fighter. She's strong and she's good. She's got a great heart, by the way.
Kari, obviously, very full-throated endorsement there from President Trump, who loves Arizona, of course, which we love to hear. But we wanted to ask you how how you see this shaking out. You've got Ruben Gallego and Kristen Sinema. I mean, it's kind of a complicated field here. How can you assess this for us? Why are you going to be able to defeat these two, and how's it going to break down?
Well, I'm the only one who wants to put Arizona first and America first. The other two have if you look at their voting record, they're just anti-American. Everything they do, everything they touch leads to disaster. And, I was seeing some internal memos from Kirsten Sinema that her path to victory, which is actually quite comical, requires her to get 70% of independents, I think 20% of Democrats, and she wants to get 600,000 Trump voters. I really can't imagine 600,000 Arizonans going to the poll and voting for Trump and Sinema. That's not realistic. And I'm pretty sure that people with a couple brain cells realize that that is not a path to victory for her. We just got some polling out. I saw it yesterday. It came out that shows in a three-way race, I win. And it shows me winning as well in a two-way race. It's pretty much tied, but close to winning. But it's going to be an expensive race, guys. Somebody told me it was going to cost $300 million, this Senate race. And so these other two have all of these, DC lobbyists and globalists and, huge corporate entities and NGOs donating money to them. And we are going to get our donations from the people, just like I did last time. And so I need people to go to karilake.com, make a donation, make sure you're registered to vote. You'd be surprised how many people out there have never been registered to vote. And this is a point in our country where we all have to get out and vote. And we have to vote like not only our lives depend on it, but our country depends on it, because we're going to lose our country if we don't get these radicals out of office.
Kari, obviously 2020 mess in Arizona elections, 2022 mess in Arizona elections. How confident are you that Arizona elections in 2024 will be reliable?
Well, I mentioned this last night. I'm not quitting in my fight to get honest elections. I have several cases that are still moving through the courts. That's the legal way to do it. And I am pushing through the legal way to try to restore faith in our elections. This is not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It's about saving our country. And if we don't have honest elections that people have faith in, then we're going to lose this great nation. It's what our founding fathers fought for. This is why they pushed back and freed us from the monarchy so that we could choose our representation. So I will continue in my efforts legally to get change in our elections. And I know there's other things being done. But listen, I think by the time the election rolls around, sadly, things are going to be so bad. People are going to be so exhausted from a horrible economy where they can't afford the basics, from a wide open border, violence spilling over because of our open border, wars playing out, the threat of their sons and daughters being sent off to foreign wars, that they are going to show up and vote. And they're going to vote for America First candidates, such as myself and President Trump, to go to Washington, D.C. and get this ship steered in the right direction.
Kari, do you think Joe Biden's going to be the Democrats' nominee? Where do you come down on that?
Boy, I don't know. I mean, I can't believe that they're still standing by this guy. I've never seen somebody who's been so awful in the White House in my whole life. I've also studied history a bit, and I can't think of any other president that was worse. You'd be challenged to try to find somebody who's been worse. We've never seen a president who sold us out to the highest bidder, CCP, Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan. He sold us out at every step, at every turn. He is selling our country out. So I don't know how he can get across the finish line, but the Democrats, they don't care. They'll rally around somebody who is really a traitor to our country like that. And that's what's so sad about what's happened in politics. This isn't the Democrat Party of yesteryear. This is not the Democrat Party of JFK. And I think a lot of Democrats are waking up and realizing that it's not even just the Socialist Democrat Party. They're pushing for absolute Marxism. And so I don't know if they'll stick with him or if they'll try to maybe bring Gavin Newsom in. I've heard that he's interested in trying to do the old switcheroo. But really, Gavin Newsom, the guy who destroyed California, is that what the Democrats really want? We need to put our country first. Our policies, our America First policies, are good for Republicans. They're also good for Democrats. As I said last night in my speech, when you go to the gas station, there's not a gas pump for Democrats and one for Republicans. We're all struggling paying high gas bills. There's not an inflation rate for Democrats and inflation rate for Republicans. We're all struggling under this crippling inflation. And frankly, the border and the crimes and the fentanyl pouring across, when the fentanyl takes a life, it doesn't ask if the person it's poisoning is Democrat or Republican. We need to come together and just put policy out that will put our country first. That's the only way, frankly, out of the mess we're in. The political elite are driving our country right over a cliff, and America First policies will get us back on track. I think you guys know that I covered the news for 30 years, and I've covered it all: bad news, wars, terrorist attacks, immigration issues, bad economy. And for 4 years, we got a reprieve. We got relief. And it was so nice to read stories where I was saying record numbers in the economy. The stock market is soaring. Our 401ks look great. Inflation is non-existent. Gas prices are down to almost record lows. Mortgage rates are down to record lows. And that was during President Trump's time. Unfortunately, the media has run an 8-year smear campaign on him because they are so afraid of having an outsider in D.C. who's going to really root out the corruption and return our government where it belongs, to we the people.
Kari, let us know what we can do to help. We certainly want Arizona to be represented by you next year, and certainly the state to be won by Trump or whomever the Republican nominee ends up being. So we want to help. Let us know what we can do.
Thank you so much. And thanks for always putting the truth out there. You guys are part of helping to save America. If people can go to karilake.com, it's going to be all hands on deck. We have a chance to truly pick up a Senate seat. And we can't let the Senate remain in the Democrats' hands, or we'll end up having D.C. as a state, a stacked Supreme Court, and all kinds of other terrible garbage, including infanticide and, you know the stuff that the Democrats are up to.
No doubt. Kari, appreciate it.